All right, friends, lean in. Today, we are talking about leveling up your inner circle, connections that are aligned with your future path, and taker relationships. Hi, my name's Sandi Glandt. I'm a high performance productivity coach, and I'm here today to talk to you about friendships and how to level up those friendships. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is friendships that you're currently in. So, navigating maybe the possible transition of new friendships. Now, I don't know about you, but I have friendships that have been in my life for years, ever since I was in, my gosh, like elementary school. And then even to today, where I have new friendships with girlfriends that are in my business or motherhood season of my life. So, I want to talk about navigating the transition of new friendships first and cultivating these new connections that are aligned with your future path. Now, I'm going to kind of take this in levels because I think it's really important that we talk about transition of new friendships and then also how we navigate friendships that maybe aren't serving our future and where we're going. And then we'll dive into the third part of this. So at least let's start with first part, which is navigating the transition of new friendships. So I want to talk about something that's really important, and I want you to start prioritizing based on alignment. I don't care how long you've known these friends, you've got to prioritize based on alignment. So assess the compatibility of the friendship, no matter if you've known this person since childhood or this is a new relationship, a new friendship. Where are you going? Do your goals, does your future look aligned with this person? Your values, all of these things I want you to take into consideration and prioritize investing time and energy into the friendships that support your growth, that support where you're going, right? I mean, look, those friends, those people don't have to have the exact same goals as you. Almost all my friends, we all have our own goals and aspirations and things that we're going after. It's actually not any of our goals are exactly the same. However, we do support each other and we're prioritizing based on our values that we have, valuing marriage and motherhood and building a business. And we're prioritizing that based on the time and energy that we're putting into that friendship. Now, again, I also have friendships that may not have grown into this new stage of my life because we're just not on the same page. And it doesn't mean mine is right and theirs is wrong or vice versa. It just means that the priorities don't align, right? Like if I have a friend who just doesn't prioritize their marriage or the growth of them personally and professionally the same, it's probably not going to be in alignment. So again, it doesn't mean that your goals and your like where you're going has to be exactly the same, but you do have to be in alignment with your outlook on life, of what you value. I think that's really important to have and should be a strong basis of a friendship, because it's going to be really hard to be friends with someone that, and look, I'm not saying that everything has to be similar, but what I am saying is that the big things, the big core items like family, marriage, those values, even if someone isn't married, one of my best friends is not married and she doesn't have kids yet, but like her outlook on that is very similar to mine. So it doesn't even have to be that they're in the same point of their life, but the values are really, really important to be in alignment. And the second thing that I want to mention is that it's really important to embrace new opportunities to meet these people that are in alignment with you, not just where you are, but where you're going. So if you are embracing new opportunities, whether that might be networking, whether it could be other kind of like community events or gatherings or meetups or any of this kind of stuff, it's really important that you are cultivating those friendships based on where you're going, and you're giving yourself an opportunity to meet other like-minded individuals. Now, I do want to mention, I'm going to have a little plug here, that on May 24th, I am hosting a Slay Fit social event. Myself, my trainer Renata, and Stormy, Coach Stormy, we are all doing an event together. This is a fitness event. However, this is going to be great for networking for other women that are looking to prioritize their health, their fitness, their goals, the community of other like-minded women. So if you're interested in that, you can head over to my IG and message me the word, let's see, tickets. You can message me the word ticket and I'll get you some information on that event because it's going to be amazing. We only have a certain amount of tickets available. And probably at the time that this is going to be recorded and out in the world, we probably only have a handful left. So head over, DM me, message me on IG, the word tickets, and I will send you all the details and information so you can join us May 24th. Mark your calendar. But find these opportunities, find these ways to network and create opportunities to meet other like-minded individuals who share your same interests and ambitions. Look, if you're going to a networking event where people are like working out or focusing on their business or their families, you're probably in good company because other people are going to be focusing on that too. So get in the right rooms and meet with other people who have similar goals, visions, ambitions as you do. Again, they don't have to be exactly the same, but you want to be around like-minded individuals. Number 3, the third tip that I have for you to navigate the transition into new friendships is allocate time. Allocate your time strategically so you are setting time aside to really pour into these new relationships. It's just like any new, think of like your marriage in the beginning, or maybe you're dating your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever. In the beginning, you have to plant the seed. You have to plant the seed and water it, give it enough sunshine, give it enough TLC, because in the beginning, it's at the very infant stage of what that relationship can blossom into. So I think that it's really important that when you do find people that are aligned with you and you find that they may have a similar outlook on their values, on family, on marriage, on business, on their own goals, that you prioritize that. Like for me, if I can find someone that I feel that much in alignment with, it's really important for me to prioritize those friendships because it's so hard to find. And you may be thinking the same thing, like, it's really hard to find good quality friendships, especially that prioritize the same things that you prioritize and that are important to you. So that's why the second tip that I had for you about getting in the room and finding those right rooms to be in is so important, because you'll kind of cut out half of that work for yourself just by vetting the room before you get into it, knowing that these other women prioritize the same things as you do. Once you find them, nurture that relationship, take care of that relationship, because like some of my best friends, when I moved to Florida, came out of a place of me kind of showing up and putting in the legwork, whatever you want to call it, in the beginning, because I knew I had similar values and outlooks and I wanted to really like build that relationship. So schedule time, make time, put it in your calendar. This is what Jared and I do together as a couple, but also with our friendships as well, because we prioritize it. And I think that it's really easy to get into the day-to-day or like the work mode and then the family mode. And I know in the beginning when I first moved here, I was like, oh, I don't need close girlfriend relationships. Like I've got my man and I've got my work and like I'm good with those. But there came a point in time for me that I was like, I really am missing those quality, like just good relationships, like girlfriend relationships, right? Where I felt like I could have girl time. I felt like our outlook on life was the same, again, like family values, not even same like religions or anything like that, but it was really just about being connected and finding someone that also was like high performer, super go-getter, prioritized family, and all of the things that are important to me. So I encourage you to do the same. And if you can look at these 3 things, prioritizing based on your alignments, embracing these networking opportunities, and then allocating strategic time for this, you will find yourself in a situation where you're like, man, I don't know how I got so lucky to have these awesome relationships in my life. That is my hope for you with this episode, that you can kind of take this 360 or like this bird's eye view look and be like, you know what? I see where I'm going and who and where I want to build with. And like, let me pour into that a little bit more. Okay, so now we're going to get into maybe some not so comfortable conversations, but that's where the growth happens. So we're going there. I want to talk about how to navigate taker relationships. Now, if I'm saying this and you are thinking about someone already off the top of your head, that might be a taker relationship that you have in your life. So I want to talk about a few things that have helped me navigate these relationships. Number one is recognizing the signs. You've got to educate yourself. And you know what this is. You know that what this behavior looks like. You know what this energy feels like. It almost feels like an energy vampire, like it's sucking the life out of you because you're giving so much and that person's taking. And you're like, why do I always feel so drained around this person? Or why do I feel like, I lose like momentum, or I'm like, I feel like I'm off track. It's probably because that is a taker relationship. And you've got to learn to identify the signs. And it probably feels like not so great when you're talking to this person or have any kind of communication with this person, because there's probably a big disregard for boundaries. And what I mean by that is I'm going to just give you a couple examples. Number one, it could be a friendship that's kind of overstepping its bounds. Maybe you are, in a friendship that you find that you're always like coaching, talking, mentoring this person, and they're just completely disregarding your time, your boundaries, and just being disrespectful. I truly believe it is up to us to shut those things down. It's one thing to be a friend and to like give feedback and be supportive, but there comes a time and place when, number one, especially if this is your, like, let's say you are a coach, you're a mentor, you're in the space, and that person's coming you to talk about how you make your money, what your business is built off of. That is, to me, someone that's taking advantage. So it could be they're coming to you for like business advice or relationship advice. And maybe this is actually what your job is, what your career is, what your business is about. And they're taking your time, hours. I don't mean like 5 minutes here or there. I mean like hours on end. They're asking for your feedback, to tweak things, for help with things. And you're like, I'm working now. Like, this isn't a friendship give and take. This is now like you are working. There has to be a fine line. And I'm a firm believer that we set our boundaries for other people. So it's up to us. It's up to us to set the boundary, to say like, this is what I'm okay with giving and this is what I'm not okay with. So here's the line. And a really easy way to say this is like, give as much as you feel like you, in your heart, or like what you feel comfortable with. And then if it gets to that point where it's like where it's like exceeding that, what I would say is, like, this is something that I help my clients with. This is something that I help, clients, my customers, whatever. And I would love to help you with this and to go into more detail. I'll send you over my rates, or I'll send you over my pricing, and I can really help you with this and go into more detail. And if you want, give them a friends and family discount if you feel like it's necessary. But at the end of the day, there has to be a line, because girl talk is girl talk, and like talking about life and career and family and all the things just like lightheartedly is one thing, but someone really asking you for like your expertise in an area, to me, that's crossing the line. So number one is recognize the signs and understand that people are going to push for two reasons. Number one, they're going to see how far they can go. But number two, they're waiting for you to put a stop on that. So it's up to us individually to decide, like, where does that start and stop? So you got to figure out what that looks like for you. And number two, this also goes hand in hand with number one, is set your clear boundaries. What do those boundaries look like? And establish that through communication, right? Like, how is someone supposed to know, especially if that's what the relationship has been like up until this point? You have to clearly define what behavior is acceptable, quite frankly, or not. And the only way that's going to happen is by you either communicating that, or by you just not putting up with it. It's going to go one or two ways, like shutting it down, like this isn't happening, and removing yourself, or communicating that this is just not going to continue on anymore this way. And honestly, this is what a healthy relationship looks like. It's not that you're being mean or you're like not being a friend to this person. You have to do what is best for you, because in order to grow and evolve into these next levels, you have to be comfortable putting and setting your boundaries in place. And then the third thing that I'll say is, like, if they don't respect those boundaries, if they're not able to do that, then like the final thing comes into play, which is just limiting your exposure, like not investing time anymore into that relationship, because it should only go so far. And then the person kind of gets the idea, like, okay, like I know I'm either going to ask for these things, or I'm going to show up a different way. So it's just important to avoid any like unnecessary or excess involvement that is going to drain you. And ladies, let me say this loud and clear. This is to protect you and your boundaries, right? This is not like, you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. You're not trying to like be the bad friend here. This is to protect you emotionally, mentally, so you're not draining your own battery. So you can show up fully with everyone else that you know you want to pour into. This means the clients that are paying you. This means your family. This means yourself, right? So I don't want this to come off as like, oh my gosh, I'm like excommunicating this person out of my life, but you do have to stick up for yourself. And when you feel that taker energy, when you know there's a friend there that is just taking from you, it's so important that you have the boundaries, you have the limitations and the conversations in place so you feel good, right? Like you got to feel good about that exchange. You got to feel good about that relationship. Otherwise, it's going to feel draining and no one's going to feel good. I can't imagine that like showing up in a friendship and taking. Like to me, I can't imagine having a friend like that because it wouldn't feel good to either party. Like I wouldn't think it would feel good to either party. Like if I was constantly taking from someone, I would never feel good about that. So like lay down what your expectations are, where you're willing to, show up, what that looks like. And I think another thing too, and Jared and I say this a lot about our friends, is that like everyone is very understanding. Like if, we set a date, a lunch date or a dinner date or something with friends of ours, and for whatever reason, last minute, like something comes up, like the kids get sick or like we have to cancel for whatever reason it might be. Like I have to say, like the people in our environment are really, really good about understanding what our priorities are, meaning like maybe just schedule. There was a conflict. Maybe we couldn't get a sitter. Maybe like, who knows what comes up. But I have to say, like, I think everyone in our environment really understands the levels at which we're going and are very, very like understanding of that. So I think when you have the right friends in that space anyway, they get it. Like everyone gets it. Like you don't even have to explain yourself. You're like, if I can't make it, it's not because I didn't want to go. It's because something came up. But I think when you're operating at those levels and so are the people around you, you don't even need an explanation because they just get it, right? So I think that that's really important too, that you have those people that are understanding and that are willing and are okay with being flexible, because like we would be the same way if something were to come up. Like absolutely, like obviously if you need to like cancel or reschedule or whatever, there's a reason. So I think that's really important too, knowing that you have that flexibility in your friendships as well. Okay, so now that we talked about navigating the transition of new friendships, we talked about taker relationships, I want to get out of that like ick and I want to get into how to build new high level friendships. And I don't know about you guys, drop me a 1 in the comments below. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, drop me a comment below and let me know how you're loving this video so far. If you're listening to this on podcast, I want you to screenshot it and I want you to tag me so I can reshare, and hopefully we are able to share this with someone else who needs to see it and it reaches them today. So I want to dive into now building new high level friendships. And I want to add something on to this conversation that I think that as you kind of navigate into this next level of your career and your life and whatever these new levels are, because like for me and my husband and our family, like we're always building levels. And in order to continue doing that, you're going to meet new people. You're going to bring new friends into your life. You're going to like, you kind of, you're always evolving those friendships. And I think that it's really important that as we talk about building new high level friendships, that you understand that this isn't about getting rid of your old friendships. This is about really curating a group of people that are going in the direction that you want to go for success. Meaning, again, this could be business, this could be personally, this could be with your family, this could be in your marriage. Like there's so many, this is what makes it so exciting. There's so many different levels to what this could unfold and look like. And what I loved doing lately is like bringing all of my girlfriend friendships like mixing them together. So I've been doing almost like every other month, kind of like on average, like every other month, bringing different groups together where they don't know each other and everybody gets to know each other because everyone is bringing something new of value. So like one friend group over here who doesn't know this one over here, hosting an event myself where everybody can come together and mix and mingle and like really talk about their strengths and how they can support each other. So that's like a really fun thing that I want to mention, which by the way, I'm also going to plug my High Performance Academy right now. If you are not in the High Performance Accelerator Academy, you have got to get in on this girl gang, okay? Because what I'll tell you is these women are absolutely prioritizing their businesses, their families, themselves, personally, professionally, all of the different ways that allow them to level up and get around other high performance, like-minded individuals who are also prioritizing these important aspects of their life as well. So get into the academy. You can go to sandraglandt.com/HPAA special. So you've got the academy you can join. You can come join us for the Slay Fit social event on May 24th. All I want to say is get in the room, because once you start having these next level conversations, your mind will open up to a new level. Your way of thinking, your way of operating, like all of that starts to evolve. So get in the room, start having these next level conversations. But the only way to do that is when you open up your mind to the possibilities of getting into the rooms and getting into the networks of these new next level, high level friendships. That's where it's going to start. So let's dive in. Number one, the way to build these new friendships is finding compatible individuals, like we talked about before, identifying other women, because we're talking about like women's groups right now, with similar values, similar interests, ambitions. Like that can be difficult. It can be difficult to find, especially in the high performance space, people that are constantly like going for better and more and becoming the next best version of themselves. That can be really difficult to find. Especially when you like entrepreneurship alone can be very lonely. But I think that when you are in that kind of environment, I know your world, the way that you think starts to change because you hear other people's successes and struggles and all the things in between, and you realize you're not in it alone. So finding these other compatible individuals who have really big goals, who are going after them, who don't let excuses get in the way, that is going to be such a huge part of your success, because now you're putting yourself in an environment, in a room, in a space where that's the norm versus like coasting, staying in your comfort zone. Like that to me is so scary. I never ever want to be there. So I love creating environments where women can come together, get uncomfortable, continue to climb, continue to grow, and do that together. So number one, find compatible individuals that you can grow with. Okay, number two, when we're talking about next level, high level friendships, being genuine and authentic is so important. I think one of the biggest ways that we connect, especially as women, is through, and it's kind of weird to say this, but it's through our like trials and tribulations, the things that we may have struggled with in the past, the things that we've overcome. And a lot of the time it's women helping other women where that other woman is at now that she has overcome, whether it's business, whether it's the kids stuff. Like I look back to women that, you know, are just having babies now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I remember the newborn stage, because it's like, while it's such a blur, it's such a critical moment in your career and your life that it's like it goes by in a blink, but it's also the longest period ever. So I have so much compassion for women that are like in a breastfeeding stage, in a newborn stage, especially even like the first year to 2 years. Like I know it, I get it. I've been there twice. So like that alone, being authentic and real and just showing that vulnerability really does connect us. So share your experiences and allow your true self to come through, because that to me is like when you think about like the tribes and how like years, like thousands of years ago, you know what I mean? Like when the tribes, like the men were out hunting and fishing and the women were together, like the storytelling, like the camaraderie, that's still what brings us together today. So be genuine, be authentic, and that's what's going to attract those other like-minded people to you because of what you're sharing, because of your authenticity. So don't be afraid to share that. Know that that's only going to repel the people that you're not going to connect with, and it's going to bring the people that you will connect with and that you are like-minded with even closer. Okay, so number 3 goes hand in hand with number 2, which is initiate meaningful conversations. Now, this is going to happen if you are being authentic and genuine, because taking the initiative to start these meaningful conversations in the beginning, it's probably going to take work. Like I remember, some of my best friends, this conversations kind of where that started, like years ago when I was first meeting them. It takes someone to initiate. It takes someone to pick up the phone and call. It takes someone to initiate a text. Like that takes time, and that takes someone taking and making the initiative. A big part of this is like asking those open-ended questions. A big part of this is listening and not feeling like you just constantly have to respond, but really being engaged. So like show up. And you might not even, like in the beginning, you're like, I know that there's value like in this person and in these conversations. It's going to take levels, right? It's going to take levels just like any other relationship. Think about, your spouse, think about the person you're dating, whatever. Like it takes time. So when you have those meaningful conversations, that's what ties us together. That's what ties us together as women. That's what ties us together, on the different stories and experiences that we have. So don't be afraid to show that. Just know that that's going to be like a superpower for you, because if you can connect with someone on those stories or, being authentic in those meaningful conversations, you're going to be able to go so much deeper with them, because now it's a safe place for both of you. Number 4. Okay. All of these go hand in hand, and I'm kind of dabbling in each one of these bullet points, but number 4 is invest time and effort. This is just like any relationship that we're talking about. If you really do see value in this friendship, number 1, you've got to know it's going to take time. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's going to take prioritizing. And I think in a world where we're so busy and everything is so accessible and fast, we want to put like friendships sometimes like in a microwave and like heat them up and like, get to like the good part of the friendship where you're like, I already know you and we know each other and it's comfortable. I will tell you that my best friendships have come from a place of me serving first, not from a place of expecting, not from a place of like, well, I'm going to show up if she shows up. Like it has come from a place of identifying that like that person also has big goals, big dreams, big aspirations, is going after like those own things in her life, and me recognizing that and being like, wow, like it's almost like real recognize real. Like I see you going after this. I see how you prioritize your family, your husband, your career. Let's build on this relationship. And it sounds so funny because it's almost like you're dating. But especially if you're someone who's moved, because for me, like moving from Pennsylvania to Miami in the beginning, I didn't really think I needed relationships like that. I didn't think I needed close girlfriend relationships, but I realized after a few years, like I was really, really missing that connection, that community, the conversations of what it's like to wear all of these hats. And when you feel supported, number 1, it's not so lonely. And number 2, you feel, I don't know, it's like just this deeper sense of you go after what you want even more, because like you're not alone. So it's very empowering. And when you invest the time and the effort into those relationships, you're going to find that it's going to build, right? And I think that no matter how long you've known the person, like even if you think about your best friendships, like from when you were little, you guys have things that you've done together. You have events that you've gone to. You have like late night, like I know with some of my close girlfriends, we had late night sleepovers, like all these things. You're probably not doing those same things as an adult, but you got to find ways to connect, because, and this is my tip number 5, so I'm just going to roll right into it. You got to create opportunities for connection. They're just not going to happen in today's like crazy fast-paced world, with kids, with work, with spouses, like with all these things. Time is not just going to present itself for you to be like, oh, by the way, on Tuesday at 1 p.m., I now have time available for a coffee date or a lunch date or like, I don't know, tea time, whatever you want to call it. Like You have to create those opportunities. But I think the big thing here is like coming from a place of service first. This is something that Jared and I say in our marriage all the time is like, how can I serve you? How can I come from that place of service? And as you're finding other women that you really love to connect with and you feel in alignment with, be the one that comes from that place of service first. Like, don't wait for someone else to do that for you. And again, like, as someone who I admittedly have said this before, like, I didn't think I need those friendships or relationships. Once I had it again back in my life, because I was like, oh, I have my girlfriends from like high school or college or whatever. Like, I don't need more of these friendships. Like, I was missing out so much. And I was missing out because I was no longer having those conversations. I was no longer like, like, other than obviously my husband, but like the way that you talk to a husband about things is a little bit different than your girlfriends, because, and I'm not talking about romantic, intimate details. I'm talking about like relating as a mom, relating as a mom who's running a business or doing all the things. Like, it's just a difference understanding. And while my husband is amazing and he listens to me because I'm the talker, obviously, it's so different when you have other women that you can really come together and communicate with and have this understanding of like, what are you working on? What are you building? How can I support you? Like, that is really a next level friendship. And the more that you can build support for someone else, the more that you can fuel into that, you will get that in return. You don't do it because you know that's what you're going to get. You do it because you want to come from that place of value and that place of service. And the more you do that, you're going to see that those real relationships that you want to have are going to start to grow because you're putting in the effort. You're being yourself and authentic and genuine in all the things. And those relationships that you've planted seeds with are going to start to grow. And it's so beautiful to see, like, you know, relationships that I've had, friendships that were from like a year ago or even just a few months ago. Like, ladies, my word of the year was connection for this year, for 2024. And I have met so many incredible women already this year. It's only May, so we're not even halfway through the year, that I'm so grateful that I met, because I made the time to prioritize the networking. I made the time to get myself out of my comfort zone and connect with people, not when I had the time, because we never have the time, we make the time. So it's really important to do this. And if you want to prioritize these relationships in your life, these high level, next level relationships, you got to do the work first. It's just not going to fall in your lap. And that's also another big takeaway. Like, great relationships are not going to fall in your lap. You have to make them. You have to create them, whether it's with a friendship, whether it's with a relationship. They never happen by accident. They only happen because you're putting in the work. So I really encourage you, like, get in rooms where there are other women that you can grow with, where there's other women that you can think bigger, where you can create with, where you can collaborate with. Like, there's so much magic there. So I really highly encourage you, get in those rooms. Come join us in the High Performance Academy. Come join us at the Slay Fit social event. You will meet the women, especially here in the South Florida community, that are doing this, that want to collaborate, that want to connect, that want to go bigger. This is where it's happening. So get in the room. Again, DM me on IG, just the word ticket, and you will get the ticket for that event. Or come join us in the academy, and that's sandraglandt.com/HPAA special, just for being here on the Slay Your Day podcast. Now, I have a question for you. What new groups are you going to start attending? Or what rooms are you going to start creating? Because maybe it's you going into these other environments, into these other groups, and you're like, wow, like, these women are amazing here. Now I'm going to start to hold my own events. Now I'm going to start to create my own community. That is amazing. So those next level relationships, I want you to honor that future version of yourself. How are you going to start showing up for her and the friendships that she is creating? Comment below and let me know. And again, make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. Make sure that you hit like and you share with a friend. Maybe you share this with someone that you are building a relationship with and you want to pass this along to. So share this with your business bestie. And as always, ladies, make sure to go out and slay your day.